We got NFL preseason games now coming up full-time this week, and high school games are just a couple of weeks off, and then the colleges will follow. More practicing today all around the state. USC on the fields this morning after practicing yesterday, being off on Saturday. Clemson practiced on Saturday, off yesterday, going back out right about now. The Tigers had to finish up some exam work for summer exams. They're going back out right about now. We'll hear from Dabo Swinney from Saturday. Nothing new from USC. No media availability again for USC until tomorrow. So we'll bring you a little Dabo Swinney tonight. Also, Jamie Chadwell, the interim, I guess we call him interim, well, substitute head coach, I should say, or fill-in head coach, because Joe Moglia is still the head coach. He's just away dealing with some health issues, and Jamie Chadwell is running the ship there. He'll be joining us a little bit after 7 o'clock here on Sports Talk. And Jim Toman is back in the state of South Carolina. Yeah. Joining the staff at the College of Charleston. He'll join us as well tonight to talk about getting back into the dugout. You know, he was away last season, and he was hired by Chad Holbrook last week to be the recruiting coordinator. We'll find out more about what his duties will be with the Cougars here coming up a little bit later on. So we got a busy show, plus, of course, a recap of the recruiting weekend for you. Phil Kornblut and the Professor Tom Hayes. And tomorrow night, Will Pelagic makes his debut here on Sports Talk. We look forward to having Will with us. He's already been doing some work on our Sports Talk Twitter feed, so hopefully you had a chance to have an exchange with him. Don't know how many people he's already ticked off, but hopefully he's ticked off a few people. You're not doing your job if you don't have somebody mad at you.
Sometimes here in South Carolina, all you have to do is cough and you'll tick off a few people. Yeah, we'll call Jamie Chadwell in case of emergency break glass coach. What a fortuitous hire.
Yeah. Before
nobody could see this coming when he was hired as the big-time assistant coach there after leaving Charleston Southern. You know, I was thinking, Corn, over the weekend into the day about how Jadeveon Clowney was vilified, including some of his teammates, when they played on that hot night, I think in late August. These guys aren't in shape. They're playing in the heat. Well, if these guys practice the rest of the few weeks and the temperatures are like they've been in the last few days, they won't be better for the heat, because Mother Nature has another hot one coming for us right before the football season.
Well, I think it's starting to kick up a little bit. I was noticing today temperatures reading in my car 94, 95. So I think we did have a pretty hot day today. I don't know what the absolute
might need some cooling in your engine.
Could be, could be. And the humidity was up some today as well. I'm sure that the coaches and the training staffs are taking all that into consideration and are giving the guys extra work, extra running. But you know what? Today in football, you know, you're training year round. It's not like it used to be when you wouldn't do anything for 6 months and you would rely on training camp to get you into shape. Now you have to arrive in shape or you'll be left behind and you won't have a position. All right, so we have got all that for you tonight. What is on your mind? 800-956-7266. You know, we don't have we sort of are in a news vacuum, USC and Clemson. We really don't know much about what's going on at either camp. You know, both camps are closed. You have very limited access. I saw where Notre Dame put out a memorandum to its media. Did you see that over the weekend or at the end of last week? Notre Dame put out a memorandum to its media that limits how much access they will have to Notre Dame football moving forward in terms of watching practice, what you can report on what you see. And here's my thought about this. You know, if you're going to allow the media in, then it should be free game. You should be able to report whatever you see if you're going to let them in. If you don't want something reported by the media, then don't let them in. Keep us out.
Right.
I'm fine with that. You want to close practice? That is absolutely your right. You know, I think some media people saw some responses on Twitter. This was more of a national thing because it's Notre Dame, and they were taken aback by it because for some reason they feel like it's their right to be allowed into practice. No, it is not your right. It's a privilege granted to you by the organization, whether it's college or pro. But if you let the media in, then what they see should be on the record. And, if you see somebody go down with an injury and you know who it is, and you see he's clutching his right knee, you don't want that to be seen, then don't let us in. And I'm fine with that. But South Carolina and Clemson, and really more, I think more South Carolina than Clemson, really clamping down on. We don't know a thing about the injury situation at South Carolina, if they have any.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all you get is for the guys who go out and watch the first 3 periods of a typical practice, that when that's available, you can see who's in a yellow jersey.
Right. Exactly.
But you don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
They reported this morning, some of the guys who were there reported on some guys who weren't there. Well, were they not there because they were taking classes? Were they not there because they were being treated for injuries? Who knows why they weren't? Were they sick?
Mm-hmm.
None of this information is free flowing anymore. And, they are really tying up the loose ends of leaks of information from that standpoint. Really, the only thing that you can get is when somebody on the inside wants to leak something out for one reason or another.
To me, that's paranoia. For instance, if I'm Alabama, come on and look at our practice. Look at it. Now, when we
wait a minute, you're talking about Saban?
No,
Saban's not going to let you in to watch their stuff.
What I'm saying is, come in and look at practice, not try to stop us. I think it's a lot of paranoid with it. But, just in any case, they've cultivated enough leaks in the White House. We can cultivate leaks inside of a football camp, I would assume.
Well, my point is, I'm not going to be mad at first, South Carolina came out with the limitation on how much you could use on your website, on your shows, on your television broadcast.
Like 2 minutes.
I think it's 5 minutes.
5
but
minutes.
That was done to protect their local rights holder. For some reason, they feel like they've got to bend over backwards they pay money for the play-by-play and all that kind of stuff. I never really agreed with that part of it. I didn't think when you bought the rights for play-by-play that it gave you complete rights to the coverage of press conferences and all that. But maybe that's the deal that they have with them. And so they try to limit as they put it, the non-rights holders, how much you can run. But you know what? That's not a big deal for people like us, because we don't run that much of it anyway. We just run the pieces that are most interesting. So that's not a big deal. So that's when they started to kind of clamp down. But the point I'm getting at here is there's just no information coming out. You don't know anything about the status of injured players, position players, who's playing well. Now, we might find out some tomorrow when there's a media session over at USC, and sometime a player or a coach who's being interviewed will blurt something out. For example, I think it was last spring, they had a spring practice media day, and Deebo Samuel was the one who let it be known that there was a bit of a dust-up between Kurt Roper and Brandon McElwain on the field. And that may have played a part in McElwain's decision to transfer.
I doubt that.
I don't know.
I want my quarterback and offensive coordinator having dust-ups.
We did not know anything about that, until that came up. So
I like the one where the guy yelled out. That's why we had to recruit a junior college guy, because you can't get it done.
All right, 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com and on Twitter @SportsTalkSC. We'll be right back here on Sports Talk on a Monday night. All right, Sports Talk on a Monday night, 800-956-7266. Lines are open for you. Talk about anything related to the upcoming college football season that you want to discuss after another idle weekend, but your weekends are not going to be idle for much longer. The season's coming at us like a freight train. Let's see. We've got this week and then 2 more weeks.
24 days.
Yeah, 2 more weeks after that, and then we'll be into game week. South Carolina, NC State, of course, will get the bulk of the attention around here. Clemson and Kent State will be the other game as far as Clemson are concerned, opening up a season. And we'll be breaking those games down for you, of course, as we get closer to them, as well as the other games around the state. 800-956-7266 is the number. A few of the other news stories of the day to tell you about. The FCS preseason top 25 came out today, and Wofford, the favorite to win the Southern Conference, is ranked 11th. The Citadel is ranked 16th, and Charleston Southern, I skipped them. Charleston Southern is ranked 14th, and the Citadel is ranked 16th. So 3 teams from our state in the preseason top 25. Defending champion James Madison is ranked number 1, followed by North Dakota State, Sam Houston State, South Dakota State, and Eastern Washington. Speaking of El Cid, the school's Board of Visitors today approved a plan that would add 3,800 seats to the east side of the stadium, which they knocked down earlier this year before it fell down. They just beat Mother Nature to the punch. They're also going to add 40,000 square feet of office, education, and or residential space on the east side. So you could have a Dunkin' Donuts over there. You could have a Starbucks. You could have some apartments, all connected to Johnson Haygood Stadium. Look out your back door and watch a football game. Something like that. The artist rendition looks really nice.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I think that's what Huey Long did at LSU. Remember they used to have dorm rooms on that side of the stadium in their version of Death Valley? And he did that because they didn't want him to expand the stadium. We're not really expanding the seats. We're putting dorm room space. So he killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Similar to what, when Frank McGuire made that deal for the Carolina Coliseum, the classrooms were built around the court.
Absolutely. The new capacity would be 15,500. That's down from 21,000 that Johnson Haygood used to sit. And they can also add another 2,400 seats on the east side if needed. They averaged about 13,000 fans per game last year at the Citadel, and they're looking to do about the same thing this year because their team is expected to be very, very good.
And take advantage of that growing population in that city that's interested in football.
Absolutely. Casey Kane will be out to the number 5 car next year. Hendrick Motorsports announced today that Kane is being released from the final year of his contract. He will drive the number 5 the rest of this season and the playoffs. Of course, he won the Brickyard just a couple of weeks ago. He's got 18 series victories and has always been a very popular driver. But for whatever reason, Hendrick Motorsports is going to let him go. So Dale Jr. is out of that team when he retires, and now Casey Kane will be out. PGA Championship coming up this week in Charlotte. It's going to be a lot of fun having that right down the road from us. The Columbia area, that area of South Carolina, is going to have a lot of golf fans coming through. And the last major of the year, as far as I'm concerned, see, this is when the golf season ends. All this other stuff that they do, could care less. The only other thing that gets my attention for golf, pro golf, after the PGA is every 2 years the Ryder Cup. I mean, the President's Cup, who cares? Ryder Cup is the only thing in September that matters in golf after the PGA. However, the PGA is going to announce this week that it's moving the championship to May, starting in 2019. The AP reporting this. This move was expected and allows the majors to stretch, it says here, their legs a bit, with the PGA Championship as the second major each season instead of the 4th. Rather than the last 3 majors being bunched up in a 7-week span as they are, They will be spaced out more. The Masters in April, the PGA in May, the U.S. Open in June, and the Open Championship in July. This will also allow the players to move back to March. So you'll have 5 straight months of big tournaments around the PGA Tour. So that's going to be the plan starting in 2019.
Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the first one will be at Bethpage Black up in New York, of course.
Okay.
That's where they'll do the first one. Congratulations to former Clemson All-American Greg Jones, who won the South Carolina Amateur at Florence Country Club over the weekend. And he was tied for the lead entering the final round, and then recorded his worst round of the week, a 71, came away with a 2-shot win. And that is, let's see, he won on his home course, of course. He's from Florence and was an All-American at Clemson back in 2002, All-ACC 2002, 2003, and 2004. So congratulations to him on that. The Clemson basketball team, the men, they leave for Spain tomorrow to begin their tour of that country, where they will play 4 games, spend 10 days over there. And over the weekend, it was announced by Aja Wilson that she will not be able to travel with the USA basketball under-23 national team this week because of a groin strain. She was named to her 4th USA basketball squad in the last 5 years on Friday before she was ruled out of the competition on Saturday.
She's already been to Tokyo, hasn't she?
I imagine she's been anywhere in the world where they bounce a ball. All right, 800-956-7266. Our poll question of the week on our website, sportstalksc.com. How much will the USC offense average this season? Plus 40 points, 35 to 40, 30 to 35, 25 to 30, and under 25. So far, most are saying between 30 and 35 points. Next most are saying between 25 and 30. A good number of people are saying under 25. Must be Clemson fans saying that. I think this offense can average 30, 35 points per game. I think this will be an offense.
What was the top?
Over 40.
Over 40?
Yeah.
Now, if we see a lot of votes on there, that's because USC's defensive squad is voting for them to score over 40.
2 people have said over 40 so far. You know, this will be a good indication of how good an offensive coordinator Kurt Roper is. He's got plenty of skilled players, plenty of talented players to work with, a veteran offensive line to work with, and we should see just how good an offensive coordinator he is with this team. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't put up 30, 35 points per game.
Yeah, and I was saying last year they were sort of hamstrung because, of course, you got a true freshman quarterback learning a new system. So he didn't put in much and so you think that, you know, a good defensive coordinator, he sits there for a couple hours and see everything they do. Mm-hmm. But now with a more diversified attack, bigger playbook, now defensive coordinators are going to have to work on more, and they can be a little bit more creative.
I would think so. And, you know, just the seasoning that Jake Bentley went through last year is going to be a bonus. And, you know, I see a core of receivers that look very good. Hayden Hurst is going to be a big target for him. And then I think you've got a trio of running backs, maybe 4 if Mon Denson factors in there as well. I mean, you can run in those running backs. Mainly, though, I think the offensive line is just going to be better. A healthy Donnell Stanley at left guard should give them someone who can push the defensive front. The Zach Bailey move to right tackle seems to be working out well. Alan Knott is much bigger, stronger, and in much better shape now than he was at this time last year when he was having to deal with injuries. And Corey Helms looks better at right guard. And your left tackle, Malik Young, that could be the big question mark because it's his first time over there holding this position. All right, we'll be right back. All right, time to open up the phone lines and get your thoughts on things here on Sports Talk 800-956-7266. We come to you once again from downtown Columbia, Main Street, the heart of it all. Sports Talk is your sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, went down to the beach this weekend, played a little golf, and went up Highway 9. Mm-hmm. Went through Nichols, which you know was underwater there after Matthew came through, I think it was. Nichols. Yeah. Apparently, you know, things are kind of back to normal, I guess, in some ways, maybe never back to normal in some others. But interesting ride up through number 9, heading to the beach there. All right, 800-956-7266. Speaking of the PD, Michael in Marion, you're up with us first this week on Sports Talk. Good to have you.
Hey, thanks. Phil, I was wondering, I heard your music when you came on this afternoon.
Uh-huh.
And I was wondering, do you know where that music came from? Huh?
You mean the opening? You mean the music to the very opening of the show?
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, State Man, can you play that real quick? Can you play the opening? Hang on a second. I got to go back and listen to it and see what it sounds like. Hang on a second, Michael. We'll play that.
All right.
You're up for Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. It's your final word on sports all across the state. Here's your host, Phil Kornblue.
It's the Learfield Pep Band.
Yeah, it sounds like it's got a lot of horns and stuff in it.
No, that wasn't the one. It was another one that came on about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, you must have been the bump.
You mean the music going into the bottom of the hour break, maybe?
Quite possibly.
Play that
song.
Play that real quick.
Okay.
Play that real quick,
Right.
State Man, and we'll see if this is what you're talking about. Bottom of the hour bumper music there as we go in. That's the wrong one. Yeah, asking State Man to do too many things at one time is not good.
Anyway.
Yeah, what caught your attention about the music?
Because it's one of my favorite tunes and one of my favorite albums. That album came from the 1972 motion picture named The Mac. And it starred a guy named Max Julian, and that was, by the way, the legendary Richard Pryor's first movie.
Really?
Yeah. The score was done by a guy named Willie Hutch, who's from Motown, producer, writer, legend at Motown, and he did the soundtrack. It's a great album. Check it out sometimes when you can.
Well, we'll have to do that. Have you got your hands on it, State Man? Can you play it real quick?
I heard it.
Did you hang on a second. We're gonna play. No. The music we play when we go into the bottom of the hour break, the top of the hour break, that music. Yes, we have. Didn't we play it going in the bottom of the hour break? Yeah. All right, we'll find it again. I tell you what, it will play at the top of the hour as we go into the top of the hour break. The segue music, yeah. That's it.
Yeah. It's a great song. Great album.
All right.
I wanted to say, before I let you go, that I'm proud of what Clemson did last year. Never been a big Clemson fan, but, I've never disliked them either. I was very happy with the kids did last year. They brought the championship home. And I heard some guys on the station talking this morning about, Brad Scott and the mess that he left the Gamecocks in. And they were also talking about the mess that Spurrier left the Gamecocks in. I think that Spurrier left them in probably just as big a mess as Brad Scott did. What do you guys think?
Not so, because what happened was Spurrier's name got a lot of things done facility-wise and got them thinking big. So the mindset he left and plus the energy he built up with getting some
but he left a roster in shambles.
Yeah.
He left a roster in shambles. The recruiting, they lost, remember, 6-7 decommitments after he made the comment about only coaching three more years. Arden Key, Mark Fields II, the corner who's now Alexander, the stud. Is it Alexander? The stud at Louisville, the corner who's so good. Jair Alexander. Yeah, these are all Gamecocks.
Oh yeah,
at one time. Chauncey Rivers. Now you might not want him because he's been a troublemaker.
That's losing recruits.
Well, that's leaving a roster in shambles, which is what he did.
But the thing is, when Muschamp comes in, he didn't have to preach for facilities. They were all in place because of the energy that Spurrier brought. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but he still left the program in shambles.
He left the roster in shambles.
Well, that's your program. Bricks and mortar don't win ball games.
Yeah, but it does draw
skin and bones and blood.
It does draw recruits in, though. Brad Scott, when he left, there was no drive to even improve any facilities, and the state and the farmers market was still across.
I mean, they've come a long way.
Yes,
because the whole landscape of college football has changed since the late '90s.
Boom.
It's all about keeping up. And I'm glad you mentioned that because there was it Bob Gillespie who wrote that story in the State about Jeff Scott and Brad Scott. Really good story. And yeah, Gamecock fans, I can't speak for all of them, but a faction of them still harbor hard feelings toward Brad Scott, not just because of how things ended, but because of where he went. I mean, had he gone from South Carolina back to Florida State, to Auburn, anywhere else in the country but Clemson, you know, it wouldn't have been so bad. But to go back to Clemson and then the next year be on a team that came to Columbia and beat the Gamecocks and get carried off the field.
Boom, that's what did it.
On the shoulders of his players. What did it. Though I'm not so sure he was in favor of that. I mean, that just all ruffled their feathers, and they haven't gotten past it, a lot of them. And you can't, I mean, it's a rivalry. Those are the kind of things that stick with you for a long, long time. But for whatever reason, I think one of the reasons that Brad had a bad run at South Carolina was he never could get the staff, you know, right.
Exactly.
He had problems with John Reeves and John Eason. Remember, they would butt heads.
Yeah.
You had he brought in Chuck.
And he brought in George after that.
He got away. Well, recruiting was his thing, but he was also, remember, Bobby Bowden's right-hand offensive man, so to speak, even though we all know that Bobby Bowden ran that offense at Florida State back then and did all the creative stuff. Brad Scott was supposed to be his first lieutenant. And he got away from doing those things over his years at South Carolina and never really had an established offense. Didn't know if he wanted to be a running team, a passing team. You remember that his first year when they went to a bowl game and won it, they beat Clemson in Death Valley with the throwback on the second half kickoff. Remember that?
Yeah, the bounce throw.
Yeah. I mean, and that was, boy, Brad Scott, at that point in time, Gamecock fans would have built a statue to him. But it was all downhill from there.
And then they built a pinata.
Yeah, instead of a statue, it was a pinata. Well put. All right, a statement. I'm talking about the music that we play going into the top of the hour. You know what music I'm talking about? Okay.
Yeah, we'll find it. We'll find it.
The music that you're going to play at 6:57:30. That music. Yeah, that's the one he's talking about. Play it real quick. You got your hands on it? Play that real quick. That's what he's talking about, I think. Yeah. Yes, it is.
I don't think it is. They wouldn't have played that in the MAC. That would not have been.
That's not what he's.
Yeah.
All right, cut it.
No, I think
Don Williams picked out that music.
I think State Man.
That music has been with us from day one.
Well, I know
that music has been with us for
Don
over
Williams
33
picked it out,
years.
I know it's not from the back.
All right, real quick, back to the phones we go. Glenn in North Charleston, how you doing?
All right, how you doing, guys?
Good.
Well, it went bad from worse. If you remember, it was Brad Scott, and I believe then it was Lou Holtz.
Well, yeah, I mean, he lost his first 11 games, but then he turned it around and went and won back-to-back bowl games. He won 8 games and then 9 games. He won 17 games the next 2 years combined. So yeah, he inherited a mess, and he had no quarterbacks. Remember, he played 5 quarterbacks, I think, in his first year. They went to Arkansas and had to play a walk-on quarterback against a good Arkansas team in Fayetteville. Remember that?
And then they had a musical chairs on the offensive line.
Yeah, it was just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I believe then Lou Holtz came aboard, and then it was Spurrier.
Yeah, that's right. Spurrier followed Lou, and it took him a couple of years. Listen, he went to the Independence Bowl his first year. They weren't exactly going to the Orange Bowl. Took him a little while to get it going, and then they got those in-state players to fall their way, some great talent. Connor Shaw and even Stephen Garcia, and then Connor Shaw developed into great quarterbacks, and they had their brief run of success. We'll be right back. right, Clemson is on the practice field as we speak. Tigers did not work out yesterday, so their last full practice was Saturday. Last opportunity to hear from Dabo Swinney was on Saturday. He came out and talked with the media, and that was the third practice for the Tigers, still in helmets and shoulder pads, not the full pads. That'll go on tomorrow. But here is Dabo after practice number 3 giving an update on his view of how things are going.
It was good. I tell you, we've had 3 good days. I mean, I'm really encouraged by what I've seen, and I'm trying to mix it all up. I'm not really letting them get in any type of comfort zone from a rotation standpoint. As far as, okay, this group always goes first, this group always goes second. I'm just calling them randomly, and I'm mixing them up. It's not always ones-on-ones. It's not always twos-on-twos. You know, sometimes the third group starts it off. So just mixing it up. Really just trying to kind of see if I see a whole lot of difference. And to be honest with you, I don't, which is a good deal. That means we're going to have really good depth, which is something that I anticipated, and something that I hope we can have just great functional depth on both sides so we can play a lot of people. And so I'm very encouraged by everything I've seen. I'm not disappointed really with anything. Again, we continue to ramp it up. Tomorrow's an off day for them. We got meals and we got treatment and all that stuff. But Monday's another kind of the last day of Club Med around here, if you will. We got another day kind of where we can't have them all day because they got finals. So we'll go late Monday afternoon, and then Tuesday we can step fully into camp and really have our hands on them, all day, every day for the next couple of weeks until we start school again. So we got a lot to do, but very encouraged. All these guys, the freshman class, impressive. And all of them, impressive group of young players to mix in with all these other guys we got.
Comparing this 3 practices to last year with those older guys and those voices, are you seeing somebody step up, and is the focus, the energy, intensity the same as you saw last year?
It's been great energy and intensity, probably more so, to be honest with you. I just think that, last year we were a really, really young team. We were mostly freshmen and sophomores. And this year we got a lot of sophomores and juniors. And they're just a little older, a little more like, this time last year, John Simpson, Pollard, Anklam, true freshmen running around. Now we got 10 guys repping up front that all have experience and knowledge. And Cervenka had never taken a snap as an offensive lineman. Now he's had a season in spring ball, and it's different. It's a totally different vibe out there from this time last year, Trey Lamar and Shaq and all those guys, Skowski, they were all just pups. And now that whole group is just completely transformed. I mean, that might be the best group on our team. It really, from top to bottom, that is an awesome group of linebackers that we have. Maybe the best we've had since I've been here, just as a whole, because all of them can play. And they pretty much, T. Spector, even though he just got here, he's coming. But they know what to do. And so I'm just really encouraged by the competition we got and the depth we got. But the energy's been outstanding. It really has. And they've had good support for each other. That's the other thing that I've been encouraged by. A lot of enthusiasm for their teammate. Quarterbacks are all repping, getting a ton of work. I'm really pleased with all of them. It's going to be a show enough competition, I'll tell you that.
Coach Scott was just talking about Ray, since he can't really go full speed. He's been coaching up Mario Rogers a lot. Is that kind of exemplify what you're talking about as far as the team?
Yeah,
concept?
Ray jumped in there. I mean, Amari is he is way beyond where you think a freshman would be. He's fast, he's strong, he's pretty technically sound. He's got great ball skills. I'm incredibly encouraged. He's got a ton of work at once because Cornell tweaked his ham yesterday. He's limited today, so all of a sudden Amari's jumping in there with the ones and we ain't missing a beat. I mean, he's made some incredible plays. It's just fun, but that just shows you that the type of seriousness that he showed up with from, okay, I've got 5 weeks here to learn what to do. And so he's obviously put a lot of work in. He didn't just
like a lot of guys, they just show up. Oh, now it's time to think football. It's too late then. So I'm really pleased with his preparation. Same thing with T. Both those guys have just done a great job. Very encouraged. All them young guys. It's just easy to notice them. Whether it be Anthony, AJ, Travis Etienne. Wow. He is going to be some kind of player. I mean, he don't know what to do right now. He's a 200-pound kid that's got a great, thick lower body. He is smooth as silk and fly, and tough. Just very encouraged by Course, Blake, all those mid-years of the year. Just watching them all move around, it's gonna be a fun group to coach. But Ray's the guy. He's got a cast in his hands. He can't go out. We've actually worked him on defense some. We've sent him over. He's worked receiver and DB. We're just trying to continue to use him in a lot of different ways. So we sent him over and done some backpedaling and run. Then we come back and run routes. He can't catch the ball right now, but he can get over there and cover. So it's been kind of fun watching him. But he's probably one of those rare guys that if you needed him, could probably play either side of the ball. So kind of taking advantage of a little time with him, having some fun there too.
All right, I've changed my mind. I'm going back to what I used to think, and that is that Clemson will never lose a football game again. Just listen to Dabo. Just great. He's great. He's fast. He's great. Got so many players. I can't tell you which one's on the first team or which one's on. They're all great players. So I'm back to thinking they're never going to lose again.
It's called a mindset you're trying to plant inside the program with fans. Players always think positive. What is that? I forgot what psychologists on TV say. Get rid of that stinking thinking.
Oh, Seinfeld.
No. It's the bald-headed guy that.
Oh, Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil. Yeah, get rid of that stinking
thinking. They call
thinking.
me from time to time. Mm-hmm. Dr. Phil. All right, let me do.
Have you ever been sued for malpractice?
Something I have my PhD in deep thinking in recruiting. Clemson has offered offensive lineman William Barnes to Apopka, Florida. They're kind of late to the party with him, but the party's not over. He has a top 7 of Florida, North Carolina, Florida State, Ohio State, Alabama, Auburn, and Georgia. Defensive back C.J. Smith of West Palm Beach has set an official to USC September 23rd. He also has visits with Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Louisville, been favoring Oklahoma. Tight end Mustafa Muhammad of Missouri City, Texas, has set an official visit to Clemson for November 11th. Clemson offered defensive back Chamari Connor of Jacksonville, currently committed to Virginia Tech. Spring Valley linebacker Channing Tindall picked up an offer from Louisville. Clemson offered 2019 defensive end Brandon Smith of Mineral, Virginia, and 2020 defensive end Tonka Hemingway of Conway. That's right, his brother is the receiver that played at Michigan. Junior Hemingway, yes. 2019 defensive end Christopher Hinton of Norcross, Georgia, committed to Michigan. Clemson was in his final 6. Basketball 6'7" Hunter Tyson, Monroe, North Carolina, was scheduled to visit Clemson officially over the weekend. That was postponed until the Tigers returned from Spain. Clemson in the final 6 was 6'10" Riley Batten of Oak Park, California. The others are Ohio State, Davidson, Vanderbilt, Utah, and Colorado. He visits Davidson September 1 and Utah September 15. Clemson in the top 8 was 6'4" point guard Michael DeVoe of Orlando. The others, Florida, Southern Cal, UConn, Wake, Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia Tech. Clemson in the final 9 with 6'9" Javion Fleming of Canton, Mississippi. USC in the final 7 was 6'9" Manny Bates of Fayetteville, North Carolina. USC offered 2020 7-footer Hunter Dickinson of DeMatha. 6'3" Randy Anwusar, the transfer from Southern Utah, chose LSU. 6'3" point guard Andrew Taylor of Corbin, Kentucky, committed to Furman. All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1. Clemson offered offensive lineman William Barnes of Apopka, Florida on Monday. He has a top 7 of Florida, North Carolina, Florida State, Ohio State, Alabama, Auburn, and Georgia. Defensive back C.J. Smith of West Palm Beach, Florida, has set up an official visit to USC September 23rd. He also plans to visit Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Louisville. He's been favoring the Sooners. Tight end Mustafa Muhammad of Missouri City, Texas, has set an official to Clemson for November 11th. The Tigers offered defensive back Chamari Connor of Jacksonville, currently committed to Virginia Tech. In basketball, 6'7" Hunter Tyson of Monroe, North Carolina, plans to take an official to Clemson when the Tigers return from their trip to Spain. Tigers also in the final 6 with 6'10" Riley Batten of Oak Park, California. Phil Kornblut, South Carolina Radio Network Sports.
Don't stop now. More sports talk is on its way. Listen to the final word in sports all across the state with your host, Phil Kornblut.
All right, we are back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your Monday, the best part of your Monday, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right here on Sports Talk, 6 to 8 every night. Phil Kornblut, the professor, Tom Hayes with you from our studios in Columbia. Let's welcome in to the program Coach Jamie Chadwell from Coastal Carolina, who is running things while Coach Joe Moglia gets healthy again. And we welcome Coach Chadwell to the program. How are you, sir?
Hey, Phil, I'm doing well. How are you?
We're great. Thank you for joining us. And my goodness, did you know last week that you'd be in this position of running the show when practice was getting underway?
No, sir. Basically, found out the day before he was going to tell the team. He told the staff there on Thursday what was going on, and let us know this is what needed to be done for him to be completely healthy moving forward and coming back in December. And found out then, and after that started panicking, going, "Oh, didn't sign up for this right now." So.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what your reaction was. I mean, you've run programs for many, many years. You probably didn't think you'd get the chance this soon at Coastal. So after you took that deep gulp, what were you thinking after that?
Well, the first thing was you wanted to make sure that he was all right and he was going to be healthy and come back. And once he shared with us everything, he felt good about that. Then it's more of a nervousness going, well, how's the team going to react? Because obviously you've been a rival of the guys for the last 4 years, and you've been here 5-6 months, so they're still, do they still view you as Coastal Carolina, or they still view you as that rival head coach? You start thinking about all those things going through your head. Hey, how are you going to bring those guys together and say, hey, we're all on the same team? So you start putting that head coaching cap on again. Yeah,
and I wanted to ask you about that too. I mean, you were the enemy to Coastal Carolina for the time you were at Charleston Southern, and I mean, the guys, I'm sure now they've accepted you and they've made you feel like a part of the family.
They have. It was funny when you first got there, and after the job, you could tell there was some tense moments, and they asked a lot of questions on why you did this and why you did that, and it was pretty interesting to say the least. Now that we've been there, they completely obviously accepted me and Coach Corn as well. So that's been great. You've been so much involved with the offense and never really that much involved with the defense, and now you're over sort of both of them again. And I think that was the biggest concern that I had once we found out what was going on. We've kept obviously the same philosophy and the way we practice and all those things, but still it's somebody different communicating. And that was the challenge or the concern I had, is how can I make sure I communicate to the defense and get across to them what I want to get across with me not spending that much time with them or not recruiting them. So there's a lot of communication that we had to the gap we had to try to close in a short amount of time. How did your fellow assistant coaches there accept the word that you're brand new on the scene? I mean, you got more coaches on the staff who've been there, of course, for many more years. But how did they accept the fact that you were the one who was pointed out to run the program in Coach Moglia's absence? They've been, at least to my face, they've been great. I don't know what they're saying to their wives back at home, but they've been, they were like, hey, Coach, we're behind you. We support you. We believe in you, or you wouldn't be here. They've been real supportive, and I've obviously have tried to include them in a lot of things, like practice-wise. What do you think? The organization, changing things up, really relying on a lot of them because, they've been here obviously longer, as you mentioned, and the way they know a lot more about how, the day-to-day of how we operate and how we want to operate. So I've really leaned on them and tried to empower them in a lot of ways. But also, I'm trying to put my own stamp on it as well with your personality and some of the things. And they've been great supporters of that as well, saying, hey, yeah, this is good. Let's keep going with this. Or, hey, you know what, let's push back on this a little bit. Let's think maybe this is a better way to do it. And it's been really good. We've been very collaborative. Obviously, I have the ultimate decision to make, but really trying to follow the blueprint that Coach Mogley has laid forward. And he did a great job, as you would expect to. He knew this was coming, I guess, obviously, for a little while. So he laid out the things that we need to do and already had the master plan. Now we just have to go try to execute it.
But do you have to be careful, talking with Jamie Chadwell, who's the interim head coach at Coastal, do you have to be careful about changing some things in your own way? For example, he didn't like, Coach Mogley, practices were pretty, he didn't like a lot of contact, doesn't like a lot of contact in practice, maybe none at all, hardly. And he was a guy who liked to walk around practice, let the assistant coaches do everything, and then add in his 2 cents after practice or maybe in the meetings. Is that how you're doing it, or have you changed some things from the way the way they had been practicing under him?
Well, the latter part of it, obviously I'm still coaching the quarterback. So during practice, I'm coaching the quarterback. So I'm not really getting the opportunity to observe any of the other things going on unless we're doing team periods or something of that nature. So I'm so focused on that part. And that's really my main job. Practice-wise, we've tried to follow exactly the way he's laid out. He told us coming in, hey, I want you to try to make sure we're physical during camp, but make sure you know when we need to pull off and not have as much contact. So we've tried to make sure we followed that that blueprint. If we hit too much sometime, I'm sure we have. If we've not hit enough, maybe we hadn't. But we're trying to put, our personality or the personality, the identity we want our team to be, but also make sure that they're healthy. And that's what Coach has done a great job of in his time here, as I've studied and learned from at getting his guys ready for those Saturdays where they're full speed. And but we do miss not having him observing and being able to, in those meetings, say, hey, these are the things that need to get fixed, because he was able to see a lot of those things and be objective about it.
Mm-hmm.
Where now, you don't have that. So we're trying to do it as a group, as a unit. And so I'm sure, I'm not sure, I know we're missing some of those things, but we've got to try to overcome that.
Well, people who cover the league, the Sun Belt, they didn't think too much of you guys in the preseason. I mean, you were voted last. Maybe you didn't go there and wow them enough with your speech. I don't know. Coastal's not used to being looked at, from the bottom up. So, how do y'all answer that?
Well, that is the first time for Coastal, obviously, but truthfully, it was expected. You're going to a new league from coaches and media that've never really seen you. They've heard about you, obviously. No one in the FCS, and you're making this, you're just making your first year in it. So I would tell you that our players, our coaches, we sort of knew that was coming. That doesn't mean you still can't use it as motivation, because you do have a lot of pride in the program, and you have a lot of success. So the expectations of winning and winning a lot of games are not going to change. Is it going to be tougher? Sure. I think our guys and coaches definitely realize this is a big step up, because each week you're playing somebody that's definitely capable of beating you, maybe even better than you, probably better than you most all across the board in a lot of areas, where in the past, probably not the case. And so that's going to be really the challenge, I think, for our guys, just that mindset of knowing, hey, every game now we're going to have to play our best to really try to have a chance to be in it. And so that'll be the difference, I think, we need to see. Obviously, the scholarships, when you're depth-wise, that's something that's going to be a change. But we'll build to that. But I do think you'll see a team that comes out and has the same expectations and plays that same way.
Have you guys, at this point, you're the quarterback's coach, have you been able to settle on a quarterback at this point?
Well, we're still in the process of that. We've got quite a few battling for the job, so I guess that means we got nobody battling for the job right now. Nobody's really stepped up and taken it. But I do think we've got some talent there. It's just most of it, is inexperienced, not played a lot. They've maybe played a little bit and got hurt. And so I think the most experience we've got is we've had one guy play a total of about 5 games. And so in his career, he's a redshirt senior. So we've got a lot of inexperience that we got to try to get out there and just get somebody that can help us manage it and be consistent, and not try to win the game right now. Just don't lose it for us. And that's what we're looking for, because I think we're going to have a pretty good defense. And then once we build, I think you'll see us get better and better. But we're still, practice. I think we're practice 9 tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's still wide open, to be honest with you. We got our first scrimmage in the next 4 or 5 days. And after that, we'll start narrowing it down and try to figure out who's going to be our guy. We have an idea, but we got to see them continue to compete over the next few days, and hopefully somebody else solidify it.
Well, it's good talking to you again, and good luck the rest of the way in camp. We'll be down there to see you pretty soon, and hope things go well. It's a very challenging schedule for you guys, but it's going to be fun to watch, and we thank you for your time.
Phil, I appreciate you guys. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Jamie Chadwell from Coastal. Look at the road trips they've got. UAB, UL Monroe, Arkansas State, Appalachian State, Arkansas, Idaho. That's it. A lot of long road trips for that team. We'll be right back. right, thanks to Jamie Chadwell for being with us. If you want to jump on the show, we got some time ahead of Jim Toman. 800-956-7266 is the number. Comment or question for you here on Sports Talk. If you want to offer one up, we got time to do it. 800-956-7266. Former Clemson receiver Martavis Bryant with the Steelers expected to be cleared to return to practice this week, according to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And he'd be allowed to practice and then play in the preseason. He needs another reinstatement to be cleared for the regular season, but I guess that's just a matter of time before that is done. So that's good news for him. Hopefully Martavis is getting things straightened out, and we'll be able to have a great year with the Steelers. And this is the week that the NFL gets down to all its preseason stuff, the biggest ripoff in the history of sports. Owners charging fans regular season money for meaningless games. But that just tells you the appetite that fans have for football. I mean, they'll pay good money for meaningless games just because they can go watch a game.
Well, you know, some of them are meaningless, but you never know when an Ickey Woods pops up or somebody that you didn't know. And that always gets the fans rolling if they see a young player. I would submit to you that Houston is going to have a large fan following yelling for put Deshaun in the game, put him in. Let's see what he's got. You know.
Well, I think so. Yeah, listen. I'm not saying the games aren't. When I say meaningless, I'm talking about in terms of wins and losses, and and then we've seen teams go undefeated in the preseason and then lose their first 8 games of the regular season. But they are important because you do get to see your draft picks and your free agent acquisitions and see how they operate, and you got to make personnel decisions based on how they play in games when the lights are on as well.
Hey, we remember when they used to have 6 preseason games. In fact, their inaugural season, expansion team, New Orleans Saints, I think Jim Taylor had journeyed down from Green Bay in his last couple of years. New Orleans Saints went undefeated their first preseason, and New Orleans fans said, yeah, we got to win. And then, of course, all those miserable seasons, they had to take all those losses and watch Archie Manning get beat up and everything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. I mean, you can go undefeated in the preseason. That's why some coaches, their philosophy is, I'm looking at players. I don't care if we lose this game and fans are screaming. He said, I don't care. I got to look at some other guys in here. I'm not trying to win this game.
All right, 800-956-7266 is the phone number. USC practiced this morning. No major news out of that. A few guys were in the yellow jerseys, signifying that they were not 100% healthy. Again, we don't have any details on the severity of injuries or anything like that. Maybe we'll find out something tomorrow when I think it's Coach McClendon, the receivers coach, will be speaking with the media, and some of the offensive players will be coming over to speak with the media after practice tomorrow. And then the Gamecocks are gearing up for their first scrimmage of the camp. That'll be on Saturday. That'll be our next chance to hear from Muschamp. So tomorrow it's McClendon and offensive players. Gamecocks are off on Wednesday. And then Thursday, Lance Thompson and defensive players. Then they'll practice again on Friday, and then they'll have the scrimmage on Saturday and an off day on Sunday. And then you're about halfway through camp when you come back on the 14th. So things are moving quickly from that standpoint. The Gamecocks, of course, hoping to be an improved team on defense. And from what we've heard so far, it certainly sounds like they're going to be an improved team on defense. The players are talking like they're improved. They seem to know their assignments a little easier now. For the veteran players I'm talking about, things are coming to them a little bit easier. Having Sky more, he's sort of that – Sky's got to be that security blanket for the defense. If you're a young guy and you see Sky in there and he gets you lined up in the right way, that just knowing that he's been through it, 3 years, been around the program for 4 years, it's got to make you feel good if you're a defensive player to know that you got a gray beard to make sure people are lined up the right way.
Isn't that a catch-22 situation, though? Because even though he's a veteran, this would be his first and only time in this system, in Muschamp system.
Well, yeah, but he still has. Even though he didn't play last year, he was around.
Yeah,
and I'm sure he sat in on meetings and things of that nature and asked questions and talked to the coaches. And he's a smart guy. I mean, he's not a young pup. This is all new to. The speed of the game is something he's used to, so he should have no trouble getting in there and playing in that system and picking it right up right away. I think that's been the case. In fact, the coaches have talked about how good USC's front three linebackers are. Mm-hmm. Their challenge is developing some depth, but they're very good among their front three linebackers. Just looking at some of the notes from this morning's practice session over at USC, I mean, there's just nothing really here to tell you about. Chris Lamons, DJ Smith, and Rashad Fenton were in yellow non-contact jerseys. Freshman safety Jalen Dickerson was in yellow as well, as was running back C.J. Freeman. Now, Freeman's coming off a knee injury. That's understandable. Receiver Rodriguez Davis, defensive back Tavin Jackson, who's done very well, and tight end Casey Crosby were back in regular uniform after being in yellow part of last week. And again, there's just a void of information coming out of the camps right now.
Davis being back in practice is big because he showed, even in the brief time he was in there, he showed flashes. And much like Debo, that hamstring, there's another guy who's going to check on him. If he can stay healthy, he showed a good pair of hands and awareness.
Yeah.
Now, on defense, these young guys, as you say, breaking in at linebacker, apparently what I've been hearing is they're all fast, which means that even if they're in the wrong position, maybe they'll accidentally run into a play now and then. Because sometimes, speed can make up for a lot of things, including mistakes.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, and speed is just one of those things you can't coach. It's like height in basketball. You like to have it. You love to inherit it. And they need to get faster on defense. You have to be fast in the SEC, ACC on defense. The way teams are spreading you out, you've got to be able to run. You've got to be able to cover the flanks. If you can't, you're going to give up a lot of points and a lot of yards. And so it starts really from the inside out with your defense, because unless, of course, you're going to just play a lot of nickel and put 5 and 6 defensive backs, but then that leaves you vulnerable to the run up the middle with no linebackers in there to back up the line. So if you got a linebacker who can do both, who can run and also hold his position against the run, then you've got the best of both worlds there on defense. So I would expect South Carolina is going to be improved on defense. What they give up last year, about 26, 27 points per game. You realize, I went back and looked at the numbers. USC, through the first 10 games of last season, did not allow an opponent to score more than 28 points. Okay? And that was for that defense and dealing with an offense that really wasn't helping most of the season. That was pretty good. Last 3 games, the defense gave up an average of 44 points. So you have to, if you're their coaches, if you're the Gamecock defensive staff, you've got to go back and look at the film and the video and review. And this includes Western Carolina. It was Western Carolina, Clemson, and South Florida. They averaged 44 points a game in those last 3 games. You got to figure out what was the difference in the first 10 games and the last 3.
Guys beat up. You didn't have any depth at all. And you may play at a great level those first few weeks, and then those nicks and bruises start to develop on you, and you need more time and more rest. Muschamp, get on in there, because we don't have anybody behind you, and see that wears on you. Then you end up playing a team like Clemson with an explosive offense. You've got defensive players beat up, and you're just right for the picking.
Yeah, well, you have to consider the opponent. I mean, they played the last 2 games. They played 2 of the best offenses in the country with 2 of the best quarterbacks in the country, and the personnel to go with it. So, but still, to give up 44 points per game after playing so playing well enough, if you had half a decent offense to go with you, that's one of the main reasons they were able to squeeze out those 6 wins in the regular season. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. One of the big sports stories of last week in South Carolina. The return home of Jim Toman to the Palmetto States as an assistant coach, recruiting coordinator for Chad Holbrook at the College of Charleston. We welcome Coach Toman back to his first family of Sports Talk Radio, Sports Talk. I don't know who was happier, your many fans in our state or the restaurant owners of the Charleston area, to know that you will now be calling Charleston your home.
Hey, Phil, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How's everything in Charleston?
You know what? We've been here about 3-4 days, and it is absolutely wonderful. It is very nice, and you need to come down here and buy me some lunch.
Well, you already have a table reserved for you at Hall's Chop House or something.
You know, I'm figuring out the restaurants, but there's something new every day, and it's unbelievable to walk downtown and walk through campus. I think we just got picked as the #1 prettiest campus in the country, and Charleston was ranked #1 city in the country, so I'm doing pretty well.
Yes, you are, and you're already getting your recruiting pitch together. Tell us about how this feels for you. I mean, you've been a head coach, and now you're going to go work for Chad Holbrook, somebody that you've known for a long, long time, and you both have the common association with Ray Tanner and with USC. So how's this going to feel for you?
You know what? It's been fun so far. We've got a really, really good staff, obviously, with Chad as the head coach. You know, I'm just excited to be working with a guy that was the head coach of South Carolina. And we brought in a really, really good hitting coach. He's the head coach for 19 years at Erskine, Kevin Nichols, and he's tremendous. And we got a young pitching coach that's a really up-and-comer named Will Dorton. He was actually the pitching coach at Florence Darlington Tech last year, and he's on board. And I'm going to help him a little bit, and I'm also going to do the recruiting. So I like the staff. We're having a good time. You know, we're playing catch-up a little because we got a late start, but it's been fun so far.
Have you gotten out to Patriots Point yet to check out? Well, you've been – wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you were at South Carolina, didn't you like get in a fight or something in a game down there at Charleston or get tossed or something?
Well, you're spreading rumors now. I don't remember what you're talking about. I think it has something to do with an umpire or something. I can't remember. But I don't want to spread any rumors, but it's all good. I'm very happy to be at the College of Charleston. It's a great school, great town. We've got a really good staff. We've got a good facility, warm weather. I'm in Charleston. It doesn't get much better than that. And, you know, we're looking forward to cranking it up. And I'm going to a tournament tomorrow. And this weekend, actually, I'll be probably back at the Palmetto games over to South Carolina. So we're starting to recruit a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're having some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, when you guys sit down and evaluate the Cougar program and what you hope to do with it, what are you guys talking about from Chad on down? I mean, what are the realistic goals, expectations for you guys?
Well, about every college baseball program's first goal is to go to College World Series, so that's what we want to do. And there's been a lot of good coaches here, a lot of good players, and a lot of kids drafted out of College of Charleston. And, you know, just in recent years, have been, you know, they went to a super regional. So the sky's the limit. We're going to grind it out and work. And a lot of times when you work really hard, good things will happen. So we're not going to lower our goals for anyone. We want to go to the College World Series.
The program has been known as a great hitters program for all these years. I don't know if that's just because of the talent, the league that it's in or was in, the SoCon for most of those years, the park that they play in. I mean, it just seems like they always had bombers. They always had guys with high batting averages. Pitching was maybe, you know, somewhat so-so over all these years. I don't know if you agree with what I'm saying, but my question to you as someone who's going to be working with the pitching while recruiting everybody, do you think you can get better pitching into the program? Is that something you see as a need?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of good pitchers at College Charleston. Obviously, we're right off the water and the wind blows out a little bit. But, I mean, just last year, Bailey Ober, I mean, the guy's 6'7". They had plenty of good pitchers in the past. And a lot of pitchers got drafted out of the College of Charleston. So I don't think we're going to have any problem recruiting position players and or pitching. But, yeah, our hitting coach is really, really good. And, you know, he likes guys that hit the long ball. So we're kind of going to follow, you know, me and Chad knowing Coach Tanner, how he liked to hit home runs. We're going to get some big, strong guys. We want to look like an ACC, SEC team and hit a few takes. And the pitching will be fine because if you look at the past, I understand what you're saying about the hitting, but there's a lot of pitchers drafted out of College of Charleston. So I think we'll be just fine on the pitching side of things. Will Dorton's a really good pitching coach coming in here, and he's going to be one of the up-and-coming stars. You watch his name. His name is Will Dorton, and he actually played at College of Charleston.
The recruiting in the state of South Carolina now with you and Chad there, you're both heavyweight recruiters. But for the talent in states, you got to go up against South Carolina. You got to go up against Clemson. You got to go up against Coastal Carolina and what they've done. I mean, it's gotten a lot tougher maybe recruiting in state than when you were last in South Carolina recruiting. Yeah. How can you and Chad kind of elbow your way into the state and get some of the elite players?
Well, you're talking about three of the elite programs in the country in Coastal, Clemson, and South Carolina, but we're going to let them have some recruits, Phil.
Okay.
Okay.
I just heard a big collective sigh of relief from three head coaches.
There you go. We'll let them have a few. It's okay. They can get some.
Yeah. But you feel like you're going to get yours.
Well, we're going to get we'll fill a roster up, and we'll have 35 pretty good players, I believe. We're very confident, and we've got a really good staff. We've got a good product to sell. But, of course, Clemson and South Carolina and Coastal have been tremendous programs, so they're going to get their share of guys. We understand that. And if we have to go out of the state, we will, but we want to sign some in-state guys. And if we have to go to California, we'll go to California. But there's a lot of players. Just in my 3 days there, there's probably been more interest in, you know, for 9 years I was at Liberty University and had a great time there and was blessed to be able to coach up there. But just in the last 3 days in calling recruits, I've never got so many texts back saying I'm interested because at Liberty we had to call just to get one phone call back or a text back. And I'm getting bombarded with guys, you know, saying favorable things when I talk to the recruits and when I text them. They seem to be very responsive, and that's because we have such a good history at the College of Charleston in baseball, and it's such a good academic school, and you're talking the #1 city in the country, the #1 campus in the country. And, you know, we feel like we'll get our share of recruits. And, you know, I think our staff, you know, stacks up with just about anyone. You know, Chad had 5 years experience in the SEC as a head coach. I have 9 years experience as a head coach. And Kevin Nichols, he has 19 years experience as a head coach as well. So we've got 33 years of head coach experience on the staff, and that's going to be hard to match. You know, we feel like we have a lot of experience and a lot to offer kids, but it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's a very good-looking staff. Between you and Chad, you got a bunch of College World Series appearances too, so you know what it takes to get it done. There's no question about that.
Well, yeah, we've been through it. You got to grind it, but there's no substitute for hard work and grinding it out. That's what I learned from Coach Tanner, you know, at NC State for 7 years and at South Carolina for 11. You just got to work and work and work and grind it out, and I think good things will happen. But we're willing to do that. I'm excited. Kind of a reset for me. Talk about the Russian reset. Well, you got the Storm Toman Italian reset going.
Storm Toman. Coach, good luck to you. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to seeing you down the road.
All right, Phil, come on down and buy me a steak.
Yeah, you got it. I'd have to get a small loan, take care of one of his steaks. My goodness. Jim Toman, back in the Palmetto State at Charleston. Back in a moment. very much to Jim Toman for being with us tonight here on Sports Talk. Great having him back in the state. And, yeah, I mean, don't sleep on the Cougars in 2018 baseball season. I mean, I don't know what the roster looks like. I don't know a thing about what they've got coming back. But, you know, give them a little bit of time. That group of coaches, as you heard him talk about, excellent group of coaches, and they will get some players in there, and they will be very competitive. And, man, I tell you what, Coastal and Charleston and South Carolina and Clemson and Winthrop was very good this past year.
Sound like a good bunch to have a 4-team tournament.
I was going to say, man, they won't do it because they won't give up the home games.
Right.
You know, they all need their home games in their nice stadiums. But my goodness, they should play each other.
Yes.
But unfortunately, they end up, you know, playing each other midweek, and you don't see the top line pitching. But then again, you know what's happened in baseball, because there's so many good teams. Your middle of the week pitching has got to be good too.
Yes.
You cannot afford to be slack midweek in pitching and lose those games, because it will cost you come May.
Yes, it will.
When the selections are made. So looking forward to it. Jim Toman's going to bring a lot of fun down there to Charleston, working with Chad Holbrook and everybody else on that staff. So at the College of Charleston, that's going to be interesting to watch. And, you know, I think I read where South Carolina and Charleston are not going to play in 2018. You know, at some point in time, they're going to get back on the schedule. And I would imagine they would get back on the schedule. It'd be a shame if they don't. And I don't think Carolina played Coastal Carolina this past season, did they?
I don't think they did.
Coastal went up to Clemson and played, did not play in Columbia. They should be playing. That should be mandated by the State House, okay? Instead of spending our tax dollars on, chrome-plated toilets, you know, in the State House, how about mandate these teams play each other in baseball?
Well, they should. The key point is, though, again, Chad Holbrook is with a program that's still adjusting to the CAA. And boy, it'd be so much better if, you know, we remember College of Charleston those years in the Southern.
Oh, I wish they were still in the SoCon. Yeah. Is this who I think it is? This late at night, his mammy must be letting him stay up, or his warden must be letting him stay up later in the evening as we go down to Charleston. We're very popular down there. Down to Charleston, we welcome in the bad boy by the bay, the ninja of the night, the pontiff of the port city, the queen of the cowboy crybabies. And with all the changes on the College of Charleston baseball staff, this was not reported. We're breaking this story. He's been named the new bat boy for the College of Charleston baseball team. It's not Jim Rome. He's got his own television show and radio show. It's J. Rome, now coming to a radio near you.
Yeah, and that Jim Rome, he's so overrated. He still gets beat up by ex-football players.
Well, people say that you're overrated. I hear a lot of people say that you do not deserve a solo introduction like that. It should just be, who's next? Who's up next? But no, you see, we give you the personal touch here on Sports Talk. Why? Because you're older than we are. And we show respect to our elders.
Hey, Phil.
Yes, Jerome.
You found a new girlfriend for Aaron Rodgers yet? I heard he's looking for a new girlfriend.
And I'm sure he's got no problem finding women.
I got to ask you a question, though. This coach at Newberry, what's his name, Mojito? This football coach at Newberry, he said that the show was the second best football team in the state. Is he on something?
You're talking about coach at Newberry College, Todd Knight?
Yeah, that guy. Is there something wrong with him? Huh?
He said, Coach Knight said the Citadel. Oh, I missed this. Coach Knight, well, he opens up against the Citadel. So he said the Citadel's second best program in the state behind Clemson. Okay, yeah, jumped over South Carolina. Well, listen, last time they played, Citadel beat South Carolina. So until you beat them, you know, you got to fall in line behind them.
That was an erroneous comment. I do not believe that the Citadel is better than South Carolina in football.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you there. But, I mean, listen, Coach Knight, he's got to play the Citadel, so he's going to build them up as much as he can. Yeah.
Come on now. Come on now, bro. The second best team in the state?
Jerome, we're agreeing with you that's an erroneous statement. We're giving you the benefit of the doubt.
That's fake news, Jerome.
So
fake news.
Quit trying to stir up something that doesn't exist. Next. What's next on your agenda?
Hey,
by the way, your cricket phone sounds wore out. Can you get a better phone next time you call?
Well, look, I'm near a fan, so it's kind of hot in this state, okay? All right?
Okay.
Hey, it's summertime.
Well, turn on the air conditioning. They don't let you have air conditioning back there?
No. No, so the warden won't let me have it. Hey, Jerry got inducted into the Hall of Fame, huh?
Who did?
Jerry.
Jerry. Yeah. He got in there.
Hey,
on the backs of many others.
Hey, it's a real Hall of Fame, not like this South Carolina Gamecock Hall of Fame, whatever that is. Okay.
Why are you attacking the Gamecocks? What did they do to you? The University of South Carolina has its own athletic Hall of Fame. The state of South Carolina has its own athletic Hall of Fame. Clemson, all the schools have their own athletic halls of fame.
We got too many of these things, man. They're watering it down now. Got too many of them.
Well, every school wants to recognize its own, and then the state wants to recognize people from the state who've gone on to accomplish great things.
I guess so.
I could see you being inducted one day into the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame as the state's most popular sports talk show caller.
No, I'll be in the Hall of Shame before I'm ever in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I wouldn't disagree with that. All right, Jerome, thank you. You're kind of boring me tonight. Didn't bring your A game.
God,
well,
man.
I had a crappy phone. You got nothing really to say. Can I ask you a question? Is it just me?
Mm-hmm.
Or does it seem like there is basketball in our face every night on ESPN now?
Yes.
Why? Why are they shoving every form of basketball? I'm serious. It's ridiculous. Last night, I'm watching SportsCenter, which I can hardly stomach anymore. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And they're showing highlights of what's his name? Harden, guy from Houston. James Harden, yeah. Playing in some game somewhere. And treating it like it's an important basketball event. Here's Harden going with the crossover. There's the jumper. He knocks it down. Oh, my, get him a sandwich. He's red hot. Or some other stupid statement that their announcers make. Why is basketball being shoved down our throats here in summertime?
Well,
it's time for basketball to go away.
I will say this.
It's time to go away, take a break, go on a trip, go on a cruise. By the way, did you see this has got North Carolina in some hot water. Well, they're already in hot water, but you saw where they put on display the new practice uniforms, and on the helmet, it's got Michael Jordan's Jumpman logo, basketball logo on their football helmet.
That's not good. You ought to put a logo of a diploma on the side of it.
Yeah,
that was bad. That was terrible.
That was a cheap shot. That's not like you, Pro.
I shouldn't have said
cheap shot. That was a blind shot.
See, my cheap shots are good because you never know when mine's coming.
Michael Hill suspended indefinitely and will not play in season opener at Indiana. That's the Michael Hill out of Pendleton, plays for Ohio State defensive lineman. Just seeing that come across. Hate to see that. Hey, Steak Man, thank you. 2 great days. Always great to see you. Don't be a stranger. Come back next time you go to a fish concert or something and report back to us. Thank you, Pro. We welcome in the new guy tomorrow night. Will be here to join us. We'll see you then.